Hey everyone, it's May and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Nightwish's 6th album, Dark Passion Play. I am not sure if I'm going to put it before or after this video, but I did separate out the poet and the pendulum. If you're used to me doing these breakdown review videos, I basically talk about the album a little bit in general and then go through song by song and give my opinion and a lyric breakdown. I just knew I had so much to say about that one and it was so long that I wanted to make it separate because these videos are always a million years long, as I'm sure this one will be as well. So there's so much to talk about. So if I've already posted that one, go check that out after this. If not, it will be posted soon. But it's going to be in a separate video, is my point. So this is Nightwish's 6th studio album and it was released in 2007, so this is 2 years after the breakup with Tarja, and there are 13 tracks. I'm also going to be quickly going over the EP or the B-sides as well, just to give some background on the vocalist switch. Tarja was fired in October of 2005 after their End of an Era concert. If you haven't read the open letter, I mean, who hasn't? But you can always just Google Nightwish open letter to Tarja, it'll definitely come up if you want to read more about what happened there. And we also have like her response and Marcel's responses and everything, so it was a whole deal that I'm not going to go into. But they conducted auditions between March of 2006 and January of 2007 for a new vocalist, and Annette Olsen was chosen as the new lead singer, and this was announced in May of 2007. The recording started in 2006. They had already started writing the music and recording the instruments before they had decided on a singer. The lyrics are very dark. It's pretty reminiscent of Century Child to me with the lyrics, but there are more undertones of hope in this one, I would say, but still very dark. I think Thomas actually said it was their darkest album to date, so maybe he thought of it as darker than Century Child. I don't know. But to me, I saw this as kind of like the second End of Innocence, with Century Child being the first, because Thomas said that at that point, the days of innocence were gone. Like, Wishmaster was kind of a more upbeat album, and then the band almost broke up, and they went through a really rough time in between Wishmaster and Century Child, and that resulted in that super dark album. And so I feel like this is kind of the second time that that happened, and I think that's just because of like what Thomas had to do and the whole media circus surrounding it. Like, I know he said he wouldn't have changed anything about how they handled the situation, but it was still just like a terrible thing to have to go through, a very hard decision to make. Thomas has said multiple times, he's like, I know it's naive that I thought this, but like, we really didn't think it would be that big of a deal in the media. It's like, but you're so popular, like, how did you not think people wouldn't care? It was a huge deal. So anyway, it was just like about him like dealing with that and everything. So it's like the second End of Innocence is kind of how I see this album, and it is a very major theme on it, as well as kind of undertones of rebirth or renewal throughout as well. So that's kind of like the thread that I'm going to be connecting things to. So Thomas has said that this album acted as kind of a catharsis, like The Poet and the Pendulum was how he metaphorically killed himself, so he didn't do it in real life, and it was kind of like a purging of all of the pain and like working through the emotions surrounding what happened in 2005 and following that, and giving also hope to kind of the new band. Sonically, it's fairly similar to Once, in my opinion. It kind of just carries on that sound for the most part, and we'll talk about where it departs from it, but I would say for the most part it's similar. It has those heavy guitar riffs, the bombastic sound with the orchestra. This album contains their longest song to date. Now we have the greatest show on earth. Their longest song to date, The Poet and the Pendulum, and their heaviest city as well, Master Passion Greed. My opinion, might be a little controversial. Maybe it's because they wrote it when they still didn't know who the singer was going to be, but this album just isn't my favorite. I still like it, but it's not like my favorite thing ever. And I love Imaginarum. Like, I think that's the best thing they've done since Tarja. If you haven't seen my other videos, I've done breakdowns of all their other albums as well as Tarja's albums, and for me, just me personally, the Tarja era is always going to be my favorite. I just thought that her voice with Thomas's writing, the lyrics, and the music, I mean, there's just nothing better. Like, I just thought that that was like it. And so that is my favorite era. I'm not here to debate anything. Like, that's just my opinion, and I'm still going to talk about this. I still love Annette's voice and appreciate her era so much. I know some people like actually really disliked her voice, and I feel like if I had been living through this, I might have had a more critical opinion of her, because after coming off of Tarja, I would have like hated anyone that would have come next. But I didn't live through it. I was really little when all this was happening. I was like 7. So like, it's easier for me to look back and be like, I still really like Annette's songs. I feel like the majority opinion is that people don't like her as much as Tardian Floor, and everyone just debates Tardian Floor, but there are people who actually like her the best. I just really appreciate it. I think her voice added such a different sound that still worked really well. I just personally think it works better on Imaginera. Like, the songs sound more tailored for her voice. And I don't know if that's just because I know that they were, but to me it really sounds better. Like, it brings out what she can do more than on this one, if that makes sense. I could still like hear Tarja singing these songs. I'm like, yeah, Tarja could be singing this. But like, once you get to Imaginarium, it's like, no, like they've changed the sound now, like they've become something else. Okay, that was really long-winded. After that super long intro, really quickly, let's go through their Sound of Nightwish Reborn EP that has the B-sides on it. I don't know how Escapist and While Your Lips Are Still Red end up as B-sides. Again, this is probably going to be controversial. Those are my favorite songs. Like, out of everything on Dark Passion Play, those are my favorites. Like, I would rank those above anything on Dark Passion Play. I freaking love those songs, and I don't know how they ended up as B-sides. But anyway, Escapist is such a jam. I will go through the lyrics. The song is basically, as the title suggests, about escapism, like wanting to escape reality into a fantasy world and other worlds by way of like books, movies, music, that sort of a thing. Who's there knocking at my window? The owl and the dead boy. This night whispers my name, all the dying children. Virgin snow beneath my feet, painting the world in white. I tread the way to lose myself into a tale. It kind of gives a sense, kind of similar to Dark Chest of Wonders, where it's like someone is in their bedroom and are being beckoned to this adventure. The owl could just be like nature, maybe. And the dead boy is Thomas's dead innocence, like his child version of himself that died when he lost his innocence. The night whispers my name, like it's beckoning me. And I think all the dying children might just be like a reference to the children that are losing their innocence. And then he's walking through the snow and is going to lose himself into a tale, escape reality. Come hell or high water, my search will go on, clayborn voyage without an end. A nightingale in a golden cage, that's me locked inside reality's maze. Come someone make my heavy heart light, come undone, bring me back to life. A nightingale in a golden cage, that's me locked inside reality's maze. Come someone make my heavy heart light. It all starts with a lullaby. So he's always going to be searching for a way to escape, searching for another journey. A nightingale in a golden cage is kind of saying, like, from the outside it looks beautiful, like the cage is golden, like it looks so nice, but he's trapped. His life might look good from the outside, but he hates being in reality, like he wants to escape it. Come someone make my heavy heart light is saying like his heart's become heavy with the weight of the world and everything that he's experienced, and he wants someone to fix that and bring him back to life, bring the dead boy back to life, bring his innocence back to life. I feel like these lyrics are like pretty self-explanatory, so it might just be like kind of obvious that I'm explain them, but whatever, let's just keep going. And the next, when it repeats, is it all starts with a lullaby, which is basically saying like when you go to bed and dream is a way of escaping reality, so like it all starts with a lullaby to dream. And then the bridge is journey homeward bound, the sound of a dolphin calling, tearing off the mask of man, the tower my soul guide, this is who I am, escapist, paradise seeker, farewell, time to fly, out of sight, out of time, away from all lies. And then just repeats the chorus again after that. So I think journey homeward bound is going back to, you know, childhood and innocence. Tearing off the mask of man, I feel like this might be a stretch, but it could connect back to Swan Heart. Kind of like the frustration that everyone has to wear a mask and present to the world a different way. I'm trying to remember the exact lyrics from Swan Heart. Like, all these porcelain models, if only I could make them fall, I think is what it is. And the way I interpreted that is like he wishes that he could see people for what they are instead of the like perfect persona they put on. So I think that that might be what that is. The tower is a Stephen King reference. There are going to be some Stephen King references throughout this, and I'm not really the one to speak to them because I haven't read the book, so I'll just mention it if it's a reference, but can't really do anything with it. And so yeah, he's saying this is who I am, escapist, he's seeking paradise, and then kind of another part reminiscent of Dark Chest of Wonders, farewell, time to fly, out of sight, out of time, away from all lies. So he wants to be completely removed from the world, and by saying away from all lies, I think he's basically saying that to him, his fantasy worlds, his dream world, are more real and true than reality ever is to him. Track 2 on the EP is Reach, which is a demo of Amaranth, and it's interesting. It's like, it's Amaranth, but it's not Amaranth. Like, it starts out the same, but Marco's singing and the chorus is different. Like, all the other parts are basically the same, but the chorus is different, so interesting. And then I think track 3 was just something random. I'm only gonna go over the songs that are actually different, obviously, because the other ones are just like live versions. Track 4 is While Your Lips Are Still Red, which is an absolutely beautiful song that really showcases the softer side of Marco's voice. We love that. I was really into this one in high school. Like, I listened to this all the time. So I think they wrote it for a movie, or it was featured in a movie or something, and that's like kind of within the music video. I'd say it's pretty self-explanatory. It's basically just saying to like enjoy young love while you can before it becomes tainted by the world and age and everything. So I'll just read the lyrics here. Sweet little words made for silence, not talk. Young heart for love, not heartache. Dark hair for catching the wind, not to veil the side of a cold world. And so I think with this verse, it's saying like the sweet words a couple would say to each other are meant to be shared. They're meant to be breaking a silence and not just in casual talk. So maybe like the words I love you or something similar that a couple would say to each other. They're meant to break a silence, like meant to be important. And young love for love, not heartache. Dark hair for catching the wind, not to veil the side of a cold world. Like these things are meant for something playful and good, not for these dark things. Also, we have the cold world that is like whore for the cold world in Poet and the Pendulum. The chorus is kiss while your lips are still red, while he's still silent, rest while bosom is still untouched, unveiled, hold another hand while the hand's still without a tool, drown into eyes while they're still blind, love while the night still hides the withering dawn. These are such beautiful lyrics. I love this song, and the way Margot sings it is perfect. So essentially just like enjoy young love while you can. While he's still silent, I guess is like before he starts complaining about things, while everything is still new, and hold another hand while the hand's still without a tool. On Genius Lyrics, someone mentioned that this is like before he gets a job and is super wrapped up in that. A tool makes you think of a trade, but it also could be any job, really. And drawn into eyes while they're still blind is kind of like get lost in each other's eyes while you still don't see each other's flaws, like while you're still like wrapped up in that newness of everything and you're not seeing past that yet. And then love while the night still hides the withering dawn. It's interesting because it's kind of backward, right? It's like you're in the night and it's the dawn that's gonna ruin everything, versus usually that's the other way around. Like you want the night to end because that's the darkness and you want the light, that's the good part. But I think it's inverting that here. The dawn is going to illuminate everything eventually. First day of love never comes back, a passionate hour is never a wasted one, the violin, the poet's hand, every thawing heart plays your theme with care. And then it repeats the chorus again. Again, just kind of the same sentiment, like you're never going to get that first day back when everything's so new. Any passionate time you have is never wasted because, you know, eventually it's not going to come around again. Like that will fade. I don't know how to interpret the last part of that. Maybe like this is what inspires people to make art, is like the beginning stages of love. The violinist and the poet are making art about what you're experiencing right now, I think is maybe what it's saying. That's what I have to say about that one. I didn't put this disclaimer already, but as always, everything I say is just my interpretation. I used Genius Lyrics rather than song meanings to help me along if I was stuck with these songs, so I will link it down below if you want to look up any of these songs and the interpretations on there, but I know there are so many ways to interpret these songs and I'm just giving you my opinion. Okay, so now on to the actual album. As I said, The Poet and the Pendulum is going to be another video, so we're going to jump straight into Bye Bye Beautiful. Not going to read the lyrics or go into this one too in depth right now because I am going to do a whole separate video going into depth about Twomus's lyrics, specifically about Taria, which this one obviously is pretty much the most blatant. And anyway, the lyrics are fairly self-explanatory. There is some stuff to unpack there that we'll go over, but clearly we know who it's referring to, what it's about. Interestingly, Twomus has said that this song wasn't supposed to be angry. It was more about being sad for him, like just kind of sad about how things ended, like what things came to. To me, it's always sounded angry, but that's probably just because we've got Margot screaming out that chorus. It's a bop. Like, I feel bad for loving the song so much, but this is one of the ones that I've always listened to from this album. Yeah, it's essentially their farewell to Taria and working out the feelings that came with letting her go. I will say that like some of the songs on here like could be interpreted as relating to her. Well, Master Crash and Greed is also kind of related, but I think that this is definitely the most blatant. Obviously. Track 3 is Amaranth. I think I said in an earlier video that I thought this was their most popular song of all time, but actually I don't know. I don't know what constitutes that because when I was looking on Spotify, I think Amaranth has the most streams. I could be wrong on that. Like it has almost twice the streams of Bye Bye Beautiful, but the music video for Bye Bye Beautiful has 125 million or something, and Amaranth has like 112 or 115, which is also, can we just talk about how insane that is? I think that's way more views than any of their other videos have gotten. Like like their ones for Endless Forms did really well too. Like Elan has like 75 million or something. Anyway, but I think these are like the most popular songs somehow, but I don't know really how that's measured because there's all those different platforms. But anyway, one of their big hits. I did look at song meanings for this one, and people had a lot of biblical interpretations. If you want to look at that, you can go to song meanings, but I can't really speak to that so much. So I will just kind of talk about how I see it. I don't really have too much to say about this one. I've never really thought that much about the lyrics. I do really like the song though. This is one of my favorites. So verse 1 is baptized with a perfect name, the doubting one by heart, alone without himself. War between him and the day, needs someone to blame. In the end, little can he do alone. So obviously I do think that this definitely could be interpreted religiously. Like it starts out with the word baptized. Like I think that there could be something to that. The religious biblical interpretation on song meanings was that someone starts out believing in God. They have their perfect name and they're baptized, and then they start to doubt their faith. And they're alone because they're without God. And they have like this war with themselves because of that, and they can't do very much by themselves without God. So that's kind of that interpretation, but I also think that it could be just about how a child starts out as perfect or innocent, and doubt starts to creep into their heart as they grow up about a number of things, doubting themselves, doubting the world, whatever that may be. And then the war between him and the day could be between him and like positive feelings or happiness. You believe, but what you see you receive, but what you give. Caress the one, the never fading rain in your heart. The tears of snow white sorrow. Caress the one, the hiding amaranth in a land of daybreak. So I looked up what an amaranth is, which I did not know before, and it is a flower, and it is known as a never fading flower because it can survive in many different environments, and some types kind of just come back without being planted. So that's what it means by never fading. I also find it interesting that we get the rain. I've talked about this before, like he really likes putting that image, like with Nemo and in Beauty of the Beast it's brought up again. It can be interpreted as like, well in Nemo it literally says soothing. It's like cleansing and rejuvenating, a source of rebirth or renewal. So I wonder if that's what it means here, or it could be something negative. I'm not sure, because it could be that, like this never fading source of renewal, like it's always there. But the next line says the tears of snow white sorrow, so I'm wondering if that's actually negative, like it means tears. And then the amaranth flower could potentially be related to Nightwish, like it's never fading, like they didn't let this stop them, they're gonna continue on, like even though they just went through all of this. I got that from song meanings. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it. That's kind of my interpretation of that. Track 4 is Cadence of Her Last Breath. I really like this one. When I listened to this and thought about it, I kind of had my own interpretation, but then when I looked at what people said on song meanings, I was like, oh, okay, I think that's probably more accurate, but I'll just go over both. Running for her life, the dark rain from her eyes still falls. Breathtaking butterfly chose a dark day to live. Save one breath for me. Also, I do think this song could have a Tara interpretation. Just saying. I thought that it was about someone who wanted to die, because, okay, I'll just keep going. The chorus is a loner longing for the cadence of her last breath. I thought it was about someone who wanted to die. Like, I thought the person that the narrator is talking about is a loner longing for the cadence of her own last breath. But I'm starting to think that's probably not accurate. In the first verse, we have rain again, but in this case, it's definitely tears by Breathtaking Butterfly, saying like maybe just someone who's so like unique and rare. And then the second verse is, why do I miss someone I never met? With bated breath I lay, sea winds brought her to me, a butterfly, mere one day miracle of life. And all the poetry in the world finally makes sense to me. Save one death for me. And then we have the chorus again, a loner longing for the cadence of her last breath. Put to rest all that's not life, drink for beauty and fill my blank page. Sometimes a dream turns into a dream. And then it repeats the chorus again. So the song meanings interpretation I think is probably more accurate, is that the narrator wants to kill this person. Save one breath for me and save one death for me. And she chose a dark day to live because the narrator is going to kill her, and he is the loner longing for the cadence of her last breath. I desperately want to talk about my Tara interpretation right now, but we're gonna say that. It's just about someone, a fictional person. And there is apparently a myth that butterflies only live for one day, so that's the one day miracle of life. Like this person had such a short but unique and impactful life. Like they clearly impacted the narrator in some way if all the poetry in the world suddenly made sense to them because of her. And I would say that that's also referenced when it says drink for beauty and fill my blank page. Like she filled his blank page with inspiration. We're getting into the Tara interpretation a little bit. I really don't know what to make of sometimes a dream turns into a dream. I read people's interpretations on song meanings. I feel like that tends toward the Taria interpretation a little bit because I'm not the only one who thinks that it could be about her. So I am not going to talk about that right now, but that is really confusing. Maybe it's just like a dream that you have, like a goal turns into just a dream that you have at night because you never achieved it. That's kind of the best I can do. But essentially with this general interpretation, I think it's just about like the narrator is hunting this person and is going to kill them. Track 5 is Master Passion Greed. Again, I'm not going to read the lyrics and go into this. It's actually about Marcello, not Taria, but I'm still going to count that as for the other video. But just quick background, it is the heaviest track on the album. I'm personally not a huge fan of it. It's like too, is it thrash metal? I don't know what it is. It's not really my thing. It just sounds kind of disjointed, I guess is the best way I can describe it. But again, it was kind of another catharsis because he was so pissed off at Marcello and how he handled everything. So it is very clearly about Marcello and how he like corrupted Taria or whatever. If you've read the open letter, they definitely don't think very much of him, and they thought he was greedy and only cared about profit, hence the name of the song. And it's basically saying that like Thomas regrets not saying something or doing something about it sooner before everything kind of went to shit. Will be discussed later. The lyrics are really good. Like I have nothing against the lyrics. It's just the song is just a little bit too thrashy, heavy, disjointed for me. And then we have a full 360 turn with track 6, Eva. We go from that to this beautiful ballad. I'm just gonna say, this is what I'm talking about when I say that I can hear Taria singing the song. The ballads on Imaginarum are so unique and beautiful. I love this song too, but it still sounds like something Taria could sing. Whereas on Imaginarum, the ballads sound like they were specifically for Annette's style is the best way I can describe it. Like, it's still really good. It's not like made for her yet. Anyway, it is about a child who is being bullied. It's quite sad if you listen to the lyrics. So 6:30 winter morn, snow keeps falling, silent dawn, a rose by any other name. Eva leaves her Swanbrook home, kindest heart which always made me ashamed of my own. She walks alone, but not without her name. So it's interesting, the name thing kind of comes back a couple times in this album. We have it in Amaranth with Baptized with a Perfect Name, and we have it here, and then it comes back later again too, and I wonder if it just means in this case like her identity maybe, but it's just kind of painting this picture of her leaving her home in the morning, and it just basically says that she's a good person, like kindest heart but always made me ashamed of my own. The chorus is Eva flies away, dreams the world far away in this cruel children's game. There's no friend to call her name, Eva sails away, dreams the world far away, the good in her will be my sunflower field. So that's when you get the sense that she's being bullied. She wants to fly away from reality because in this cruel children's game, she has no friends and like everyone's turned against her. So we have like the two verbs, flies and sails, for how she wants to leave the world and is like dreaming of something better. Basically like in the world of her dreams, kind of like relating to Escapist there. Mocked by men to depths of shame, little girl with life ahead, for a memory of one kind word she would stay among the beasts. Time for one more daring dream before her escape. Eden beam, we kill with her own loving heart. So this is when it's literally saying that she was bullied even though she's so young and she has her life ahead of her. If she just had the memory of one kind word, she would stay among beasts. I think that's such a strong line. Oh my gosh. She has one more daring dream. She's trying to escape this hell. And then, okay, so yeah, it just repeats the chorus after that. So I'm not sure if she metaphorically dies or she actually dies. Like, is it saying that like her naivete or her innocence is what got her killed? Like, I'm not sure what that we kill her with her own loving heart means. Or is it meaning that she's going to kill herself? I'm not sure what that means there. But basically this is the story of someone who is an innocent and this is what the world has done to them. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I think there's different ways to interpret that, but clearly she is inspiring the narrator to be a better person, like with the line, the good in her will be my sunflower field. Probably like Thomas looking back on what it was like to be innocent. And then track 7 is Sahara. I'm not like a huge fan of this one. I don't have a whole lot to say about it because it seems to be just like a bunch of allusions to mythology. The chorus is 1001 nights unseen theme, the philosopher and the queen, that's kind of going through the whole song. And so I'm not really sure if it's supposed to have like a deeper meaning or if it's just supposed to be this reference to mythology, and people have talked about it on song meanings if you care to look that up. Basically, like what I got from it is just like the philosopher has basically just invoked the wrath of a pharaoh for being with the queen. It also has a mention of the Elysian fields, and when I looked it up it said that that's the final resting place of the souls of the heroic and the virtuous in Greek mythology and religion. So I wasn't really sure what to make of that, because the last lines are, may he now rest under Aegis, I don't know if I'm saying that right, mirage, as the sands slowly turn to Elysian fields. Does he die of thirst in the desert because he sees a mirage? Is that how this ends? I'm not gonna read all the lyrics, not that there's that many, but like he was being chased. I don't really know what to make of that one. And then track 8 is Whoever Brings the Night. I have a lot more to say about this one. This one's pretty catchy. It's not like my favorite, but it is catchy. I will read the lyrics. We seduce the dark with pain and rapture like two ships that pass in the night. You and I, a whore and a bashful sailor. Welcome to a sunrise of a dirty mind. All you love is a lie. You one night butterfly. Hurt me, be the one whoever brings the night. I actually thought it was all your love is a lie, which I thought made more sense. I'm on Genius, which is usually right, but I don't own this album if you couldn't tell, so I'm not using the sleeve. From what I got from it, it's about like prostitutes potentially, literally, and there could be like a deeper meaning to it, but it seems like the verses are from the point of view of the prostitutes and the chorus is the narrator who was maybe involved with them in some way, like the sailor. The first verse is basically just kind of setting the scene, and then the chorus, well, I thought it said all your love is a lie, and I was gonna say like it's all cheap, like it's just a show that they put on for one night, like it doesn't mean anything. The lie is that like they're getting paid for their services, so like nothing about it is real, but they still want it, like hurt me, be the one whoever brings the night. And the butterfly like could connect back to Cadence of Her Last Breath, like some kind of a darker tone to that maybe. Verse 2 is the dark created to hide the innocent white, the lust of night, I so bright, seductive lies, crimson masquerade where I merely played my part, poison dart of desire. Chorus again, the bridge is choose a bride tonight, a fantasy for a zombie, hurt me, I love to suffer, your harem's a dream for free. Enter, suck from us and live forever, rotten beauty will haunt you for a lifetime. Come with me underwater and drown to despise me no more, unholy, unworthy, my night is a dream for free. And then it has the chorus again. The second verse is just like more setting the scene kind of. The dark created to hide the innocent white is talking about the night probably, and then I so bright, seductive lies will be talking about the prostitutes. Crimson masquerade where I merely played my part is probably the prostitute talking about her show that she has to put on basically. And then the bridge definitely seems to be from the prostitute's point of view, but not just like one. When I say I mean like probably like in general, not like one specific person, because we have some fantasy elements sort of, like the zombie, the suck from us kind of makes you think of a vampire, and then come with me underwater and drown to despise me no more. That definitely makes me think of a siren. And so it's basically just like different ways of them beckoning for men to come to them. And then rotten beauty will haunt you for a lifetime is basically saying like it looks enticing and beautiful on the surface, like we look enticing and beautiful, but it's actually like fake underneath and we're rotten and you'll never be able to forget that. And then my night is a dream for free is like you can have this for one night, but it's not real. Like it's cheap, it's fake and rotten, and it's not gonna last. I feel like in a general sense it's just about how like evil or darkness looks enticing on the surface, but as you get closer you realize that it's not what it seems. Next we have track 9, For the Heart I Once Had. This is my favorite song on the album itself. It's just perfect. I feel like Annette's voice like really works well with this. It's like softer and like more delicate, and then the chorus comes in with more rock. It's hard to explain. This is my favorite thing in songs, when like you can hear the keyboard like pronounced, or like the piano, whatever instrument's being used, like you can hear that come out. Delane does it a lot. It's hard to describe, but you can hear it in this one. Like it's pronounced like over the other instruments, and it's just so beautiful. Also, okay, call me crazy, if anyone listens to Taria's solo stuff, I swear it sounds a little bit like Undertaker. Well, the correct way of phrasing that would be that Undertaker sounds a little bit like this, because this came first. Da-na-na-na. That part, it just like goes into a different tune after that, you know? Okay, I feel like it just fits directly into the Mourning for the Lost Innocence theme. Heaven today is but a way to a place I once called home. Heart of a child, one final sigh as another love goes cold. Once my heart beat to the rhythm of the falling snow, blackened below, the river now flows, a stream of molten virgin snow. So he's saying that heaven is only a way back to his childhood, like his childhood home and who he was then. I feel like as another love goes cold, like there's only one interpretation of that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's about Taria. I really don't know how else to interpret that. Any ideas? And I feel like this connects back to Escapist with the snow, because it was like virgin snow beneath my feet, painting the world in white. Now we have blackened below, the river now flows, a stream of molten virgin snow, like it's been tainted now. And the chorus is, for the heart I'll never have, for the child forever gone, the music flows because it longs for the heart I once had. So he's saying that he's able to write music and get inspiration from that longing. Living today without a way to understand the weight of the world, faded and torn, old and forlorn, my weak and hoping heart. For the child, for the light, for the heart I once had, I will believe and foresee everything I could ever be. Chorus again, and then time will not heal a dead boy's scars, time will kill. So hopping back to the second verse, when it says living today without a way to understand the weight of the world, I feel like when you're a kid, it's like easier to like understand things because you're not really understanding them. Like you come up with ways of like making the world make sense to you when you don't really know everything yet, but then when you're older and you actually understand everything, you can't like actually comprehend it and it's too much to handle. And basically it's just saying his heart is now faded and torn, old and forlorn, instead of being that whole child's heart that it used to be. We have that for the child, for the light. And then I think the last two lines just are subverting that like time will heal all wounds saying. So he's saying in his case, time is only going to bring him farther away from that childhood and innocence when he thinks he was at his best. So it's not going to heal the dead boy's scars. It's going to eventually kill him. Some people do interpret this whole song as being about Taria, and I will discuss that in the other video. And then track 10, we have The Islander. And okay, so this is where sonically I feel like the album really departs from Once. Like all these other songs kind of sound like they're a continuation of Once, like I said at the beginning, but this one is where it doesn't. And this is our first Troy appearance. He is now a full member, but he wasn't at this time. He was just a guest musician on the pipes. And I feel like that's what kind of makes this album the bridge between Once and Imaginarium, is that sound, because that is so characteristic of like the future Nightwish. Basically, it sounds very different than the previous songs. It's kind of acoustic with like folk vibes, and it was co-composed with Marco, and he's the one who sings it. Again, it brings out kind of that more softer side of his voice, which I think is just beautiful. An old man by a seashore at the end of day gazes the horizon with sea winds in his face. Tempest-tossed island, seasons all the same, anchorage unpainted, and a ship without a name. That's where the name comes back in again. Although, if Marco wrote this, I don't know that it's supposed to connect. I don't know. Sea without a shore for the banished one unheard. He lightens the beacon, light at the end of the world, showing the way, lighting hope in their hearts, the ones on their travels, homeward from afar. Also, just really quickly, I feel like thematically, like the lyrics on this go more with Imaginarium than this album. It would fit right with like Turn Loose the Mermaids or something. Like I feel like this one could have been on Imaginarium. It just wasn't. It's basically painting the picture of this old man whose life is behind him and he's now isolated. Like it could be at the end of the day literally, or just like at the end of his life. Everything is the same to him now, like the season's all the same. He doesn't notice anything changing, he's just stuck basically. He's the lighthouse keeper, so he's still in charge of lighting the way for others, but no one knows who's behind it, like he's completely alone. And then the chorus is, this is for long forgotten light at the end of the world, horizon crying the tears he left behind long ago. So when it says long forgotten light at the end of the world, it's his lighthouse, but it's also him. The albatross is flying, making him daydream. The time before he became one of the world's unseen. Princess in the tower, children in the fields. Life gave him it all, an island of the universe. Now his love's a memory, a ghost in the fog. He sets the sails one last time, saying farewell to the world. Anchor to the water, seabed far below. Grass still in his feet and a smile beneath his brow. Then we have the chorus again. What I love about this song is it just paints such a vivid picture, and like usually when I watch a music video I'm like, okay, like that literally had nothing to do with the song and it just confuses me, but with this one I actually feel like it painted the picture of what I saw in my head when I listened to the song more or less. So basically the second verses are just saying that all of his happy times are only reduced to memories now. It's just a ghost in the fog, like all of the memories from his past, and he's now one of the world's unseen, like everyone's forgotten about him, like probably everyone that he loved is like long gone. In the music video I think it suggests suggests that he commits suicide, which is kind of just like a theme on this album, which is why it's their darkest album, I guess. I feel like when it says he sets the sail one last time saying farewell to the world, like it could just be him dying naturally, but I feel like it did suggest that. He was either gonna fall from the cliff or hang himself. I forget exactly what was happening with the rope, because like he has nothing left to live for, basically. I think that the name The Islander is like he's on an island alone, so it's like literally he's on an island, but like figuratively he is alone, like he's completely isolated. He is the island. I feel like I didn't explain that very well either, but I don't know, I feel like this song just like has such vivid imagery associated with it, and it's just really sad. Like there's just like a deep sense of loneliness and isolation that is associated with it. Just like the fact that he's still like manning the lighthouse and like lighting the way and like helping others, but no one like cares about him anymore, and he's just like alone. I don't know, it's just sad. Anyway, track 11 is Last of the Wilds. This also kind of continues that folky sound with Troy and the pipes. Apparently this was actually released as a single. I listened to this for the first time yesterday. Like I'd never heard the other version of it where there's Finnish lyrics. It's basically just another song like Thomas did with Lappi on the Angels Fall First album that's like talking about the Finnish wilderness, but the one on the album is just an instrumental. And I think that this is kind of where they started with Elan. Like it sounds a little bit like Elan if you listen to it. I don't know. Track 12 is 7 Days to the Wolves. I'm not going to read all the lyrics because I don't have a ton to say about it. It is apparently inspired by another Stephen King novel, so, you know, it's gonna be mostly lost on me. But musically, I think that Marco and Net's voices really blend so well together in the chorus. I think it works really well. I can't really speak to the Stephen King references, but it seems like it overall is just a call to live your life to the fullest, because you never know when death could be coming, basically. Like it's always right behind you. Like there's 7 days behind you, basically. So for example, when it says, light the fire, feast, chase the ghost, give in, take the road less traveled by, leave the city of fools, turn every poet loose, is basically, to me, it sounds like kind of just like a call to follow your own path regardless of what you're supposed to do or what other people think, and just make of your life what you want, because you never know what could happen. 7 Days of the Wolves, where will we be when they come? Will we be living our lives the way we want to, or will we be living them for other people? I don't know if that's like a stretch, but I feel like that's what it could mean. But it probably is something to do with Stephen King. It has nothing to do with that. I don't know. And then the last song is Meadows of Heaven. This has Troy again. So basically you can think of the album as like kind of sounds like Once, and then The Islander is where it kind of sounds like Imaginarium. Anyway, the lyrics aren't that hard to interpret, so again I might just be kind of obviously going through them, but clearly the song is about what Thomas would consider heaven, like his childhood. I close my eyes, lantern dies, the scent of awakening, wild honey and dew, childhood games, woods and lakes, streams of silver, toys of olden days. Meadows of heaven, the flowers of wonder and the hidden treasures and the meadow of life, my acre of heaven. A 5-year-old winter heart in a place called home, sailing the waves of past, meadows of heaven, etc. And so this is when he was talking about earlier, meadows of heaven, like this is where he would go, like back to his childhood when everything is simple and most of the lines of the verses are just like little images or memories that he has, and now he can only remember it in dreams. So the next verse is rocking chair without a dreamer, a wooden swing without laughter, sandbox without toy soldiers, Yuletide without the flight, dream bound for life. I think it's saying like if he were to go back, it wouldn't be the same. Like he'd have to go back as a child. Like if he went back as an adult, like looking at his past like with adult eyes, all he would see is this emptiness. Like it wouldn't be the same to him, so all it can be is a dream. Like he's dream bound for life. Flowers wither, treasures stay hidden until I see the first star fall. I fall asleep and see it all, mother's care and the color of kites. Yeah, so it's like talking about the seasons changing, right? Like flowers are withering, the treasures stay hidden until he sees the first star of fall. So I don't know if that's supposed to be like season changing or like the end of a day, I'm not sure, but he can only see it in his dreams. But yeah, I think it's actually quite sad. It's like about how things lose their magic when we grow up, so it's like it can only be a dream, because if we were really to go back, it like wouldn't be as magical as we remember. It's sad. I'm not sure how I feel about this being the last song on the album, because I feel like the album took us on a journey that we started with The Poet and the Pendulum, and if you haven't seen that video where I talked about it, that song starts with the words the end and ends with the words the beginning. So the way I interpreted that was it was about the band, like saying it's the end of that previous era, the end of who they were at that point, and it takes you through like Thomas metaphorically dying and then being reborn. And so I'm not sure if the album was like a journey that ends with him finally getting that like sweet release of death that he wanted and going back to heaven. Because like 7 Days of the Wolf, it's like about death too. Or maybe the whole album's supposed to be in reverse. Like this is where it started, is like heaven, innocence, and then you go through everything in reverse. And then it ends with the end. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be taken. But I mean, I guess it's just like this is where he hopes things will end for him. That will be heaven, like where he grew up as a child. So I don't think it necessarily has to be taken as like the album's a journey that ends here, like with death. I think it could just be taken as like closure, sort of. This is where it will end for him. Like he hopes that he'll go back to when everything was simple and there were no problems and he was still innocent. Like if you could go back to that, but like with that same mindset and not the like disillusioned mindset. I don't know if I'm like reading too much into it, but I feel like there's a reason songs are placed where they're placed on an album, you know? So if anyone has any ideas, let me know. That's gonna be it for this video. It was super long as usual, but I hope that it was entertaining. Like I said, if you haven't seen the Poet and the Pendulum breakdown, that will be a separate video, either posted right before or after this one, so please check that out if you haven't. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please let me know if you have your own interpretations that I would love to discuss further in the comments, and just let me know what your thoughts are on the album and your favorite songs. I would love to chat and discuss. Please give this video a like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell if you would like to see more videos from me and to get notified when I post new content. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.